The purpose of a quote is to determine the premium to be charged for the item that requires insurance and determine whether the item is insurable. In terms of POPI, insurers may not request more information than what is necessary to perform the task at hand. This means that if the information does not help with determining the quotation, it is irrelevant and may not be obtained at this point. For this reason, our quotations are short, to the point, and you can rest assured that the information required to perform the quotation serves one of three purposes. 1. To get hold of or contact the client. 2. To see if the client is insurable. Or 3. To determine the premium payable. To ensure the client receives an accurate quotation, it is important to 1. Obtain and capture information accurately, and 2. Complete all the information as prompted by the system. To perform a quote is a quick 4-step process. Step 1. Select the best product to meet your client's identified need. Once the product is selected, follow the system prompts to complete the quotation. On the Nimbis dashboard, you'll need to hover over the Quotations button and click Add a new quote. Next, you'll be selecting the product by hovering over the product name that you want to place your client onto and ticking the box next to it. Understanding the criteria is crucial at this stage, as you'll need to place your client on the correct product from the start. Then you'll click Next. This screen is only for existing clients, so you can ignore it and click Next. We'll now be adding our policyholder details. Under Client Type, you'll select either company or person, and then you're going to click Next. Clicking Next will highlight required fields in red. Remembering POPI, you'll capture the client's first name, their surname, and their ID number. You can manually select fields or navigate using the Tab button. If the client's ID number is incorrect, an error will pop up. Request that the client reconfirm. You can recapture the ID number and proceed. You'll capture the client's contact details. It's crucial that these details are captured correctly right from the start, as this process is not repeated. It also ensures that the details pull through to the system properly, which ensures that the client will receive an SMS that we send them for proratas, premiums, or outstanding certificates. You'll enter the first 3 digits into the smaller block and the last 7 digits into the bigger block. You'll do this for the mobile and phone number. Finally, you'll capture the client's email address. Once again, it's crucial that this is captured correctly, as this plays an important role in the email procedure later. It must be the client's email address, not your email address, a colleague or family member of the client. It must be the client's email address. In the event, and only if the client does not have an email address, you can enter 989.co.za. Once all the information is captured, you click Next to proceed. Next, you'll be adding the client's risk address. You'll enter the house number under Building, the street name under Street, and just as a shortcut that you can use, you can enter the town or city name under the postal code block. Doing this will trigger a drop-down showing the area and the postal code that you can select. This method prevents capturing duplicate information and prevents unnecessary scrolling to find the postal code. The province will be generated automatically and you can click Next. Now you will go through the moral risk section. Your first step will be to ask the ITC check question, after which you'll ask each question word for word and select the answer that the client gives. Just remember that if an answer is yes, you'll need to capture the details in the text box below. The information will need to advise what happened, when it happened, and how or if the matter was resolved. If any of these answers are yes, the client must be referred to authorizations at brokerbuddy.co.za. Next, you'll move on to the client's insurance history. The insurance history will be for the last 5 years, and that will include every insurer that the client has been with over the past 5 years. The insurer information should include the name of the insurer, the start date, and the end date of the period of insurance with that company. Then you'll move on to the client's claims history, which will, like the insurance history, will be for the last 5 years. You'll need to list every claim or incident that the client has had within the last 5 years by including the date of loss, a short description of loss, the full claim amount referring to the total loss of replacing or repairing the item, and the status of the claim. Once that is all captured, you click Next to generate the quotation. From the quotation details page, you'll proceed with adding the item by clicking the Cover tab. The Cover tab will have sub-tabs indicating the different sections available on that product. We start on the Add-on sub-tab, which, depending on the product, will reflect Value Buddy Gold, Rideshare Services, or Q-Drive Services. This product is mandatory and automatically included roadside assistance product, which is why there is already a premium noted at the top. You'll navigate to the section that you'll be adding your item onto, in this case a vehicle under the Motor sub-tab. From the Motor sub-tab, you're going to click the Add a New Item button to pull up the item window. Once the item window is open, click the Calculate Premium button to identify the fields required to generate the quotation. The first step is to change basis of settlement to retail value. You'll now move on to the next editable field, which will differ depending on the product that you're quoting on. On a rideshare product, the next field will be province. Click the drop-down box and select the province that the client mainly operates in. The vehicle sum insured and M&M code boxes aren't able to be populated manually, so you'll do this by clicking the Select button, which will open the vehicle window. You'll capture the vehicle description or M&M code into the search bar and click Search. The M&M code will bring up the vehicle, whereas the description will bring up every vehicle matching that description. Identify the vehicle you want to add and double-click. This will open a new window where you will select the year model from the drop-down box. The vehicle value box can be updated to reflect the values by clicking the green arrow button. The selected value field will pull through the value selected under basis of settlement earlier. The selected value field must have an amount captured, as this will pull through to the vehicle sum insured field on the item window. Should the client want to insure a vehicle released in the year of quoting, only the new value field will reflect an amount. You'll need to manually type this amount into the selected value field. Be sure to capture it correctly to avoid the client being underinsured. Once you have your vehicle details, click Select to add the vehicle to the item window. On Rideshare, your next field will be average kilometers traveled by the vehicle per month. You'll request this information from the client and capture it accordingly. Next will be operator's vehicle is registered with. This refers to the e-hailing platform that the vehicle is registered with. The drop-down list has a list of some of the platforms and more than one operator. If the platform is listed, you will select that platform. More than one operator will be selected under one of two conditions. Either the vehicle is registered with multiple operators such as Uber and Bolt, or the vehicle is registered with a platform that is not listed. The next field is the NCB. You'll ask the necessary questions to correctly calculate the NCB and select it accordingly. Next, there is use, which will vary depending on your product and your client. Any client on a Soteria or P4 product may be placed on private, business, or commercial use. Any rideshare client must be placed on Uber taxi use, and any Q-Drive client must be placed on commercial use. Next, you have the tracking requirements. These questions are referring to what Broker Buddy require the client to have installed. Tracking requirement will always be yes, and tracker type is Driver Behavior Monitoring Unit. Our Soteria, P4 and Rideshare products require a tracking unit with driver behavior monitoring capabilities. It doesn't matter which company the device is with, as long as it has those functions, and our Q-Drive products can have any tracking device. The red fields are complete, but now you'll need to add the policyholder's license details. You'll scroll down to the driver details section and click the pencil on the right. This will open a window with the personal details that were added at the beginning of the quote. You'll scroll to the bottom, select the license code from the drop-down box and enter the first license issue date. The order doesn't matter, as long as there is a date, month and year. Scroll back to the top and click Save. This will take you back to the item window. If the screen goes hazy, the details will pull through. If not, you'll need to recapture them. The way to check if the details have pulled through is by checking if the license code has pulled through. If it's blank, the details have not pulled through. Simply repeat the process of adding the license details. Lastly, there are a list of available VAPs, otherwise known as value-added products, which can be selected, if chosen by the client, by ticking the box next to it. You'll now scroll to the top of the page and click Calculate Premium. This will generate an item premium. For details on what the premium is made up of, you can click the arrow and the menu will drop down to show the premium of each item. Once you're happy with the item, click Save to add it to the quotation. This will take you back to the Motor sub-tab. The vehicle premium will now be added under the total premium. If the premium is the same as before adding the item, refresh your page to view the updated premium. The total premium is what needs to be advised to the client, as this will be the amount paid monthly. Should the client accept, this premium includes any add-ons such as rideshare services, all items added onto the quote, SASRIA and VAT fees. To advise your client of their excesses, click the View Quotations button. This will open the quotation document containing all the necessary quote information. It is also the document that will be sent to the client should they accept the quote. Once the document is open, scroll down to the second page after the listed vehicle to view and disclose the basic and additional excesses that may become applicable in the event of a claim. We are now going to navigate back to our quote details page, and this brings us to the end of the process in terms of how to perform a quote on Nimbis. To enable the client to make an informed decision, it is good practice to disclose the product name, premium, and excesses. When completing the quotation, it is important to keep the insurer underwriting criteria in mind to ensure the protection of both the client and the insurer. With Broker Buddy, all losses, whether claimed for or not, must be referred for approval. Where a client answers yes to any of the moral risk disclosures, approval from our authorizations team will be required. When considering vehicle insurance, modified, rebuilt, soft top, as well as code 3 and 4 vehicles cannot be insured. Top-up cover is not available for purchase. With regards to drivers, it's important to note that international licenses and Zimbabwean licenses must be referred for approval before cover will be provided. It's also important to note that asylum seekers will not be insured. We've come to the end of this lesson. Thank you for joining. Happy quoting!